Man, I was fucking planning on doing some readings for today's video, but nothing seems appropriate. Like, everything that's going down right now is so just fucking wild. I feel like I can feel the energy of the world right now. Everybody is up in fucking arms. That's a vibration that's being put out there, and it is heavy. I have been in such a weird fucking funk because it's uncomfortable. It's not okay the way that people have been treated over the fucking years. And so many people in my own family like have these backwards ass views, and they're saying writing isn't the right way to do shit, but then you have other people bringing up, they're like, fucking America was literally brought into existence from rioting. The Boston Tea Party, there was like an estimate of like over $1 billion in fucking damage. Martin Luther King said rioting is the language of the unheard, and like all these people that are saying that it's not right, well, what the fuck do you want them to do? They have been speaking up over and over saying that this isn't right, that they're being disproportionately affected, and the fucking white people want to sit there and be like, oh, you're just being sensitive, whatever. But no, we're fucking seeing it. Like in the coronavirus, with everything going on, Black people are being more affected because they're the ones in the essential positions. They're the ones that are keeping the fucking country going because they've been kept down in those positions. And now they're still going to work for us because they can't afford to miss a fucking paycheck. Because if they do, their whole life, like, there's no fucking excuse for how these white redneck motherfuckers who are pissed off about not being able to have a haircut can go to a fucking state capitol or wherever the fuck they went with literal rifles strapped to them, and they're yelling and getting in the faces of all the officials there, of the police people there, and not a one person does anything about it. The fucking president of the United States calls them like heroes, but then you have Black people that are peacefully protesting, no fucking guns, just fucking standing there. And there's videos coming out of the police like starting the violence. Like, the protests are peaceful until the police fucking set something up. Like, they set a pile of bricks somewhere. There was a video where this one guy was like, yeah, we see this fucking setup, this pile of bricks right here. You think this pile of bricks wasn't here a couple of days ago? Like, don't take the bait. Like, they're trying to incite violence so that they can paint Black people as this like violent group of, when that's not the fucking case. And it, like, my heart is breaking every fucking day, and I'm getting angrier and angrier and angrier at how this can even be possible. I don't fucking get it. For the record, I'm for the rioting and everything that's happening right now. This is completely justified because the peaceful protesting didn't fucking work. It wasn't the right fucking way. So like, what are they left to fucking do? What are they left to do in the middle of a pandemic? There's so much unrest that people are risking their lives, both because they could get the fucking virus and because the police will fucking murder them, to go out and fight for their rights as human fucking beings. And I am so looking forward to the outcome of all of this, where all the corruption is brought to fucking light, which, I mean, it already is. Being an anonymous is getting involved. Oh my god, you've got the Amish coming out of the woodworks, and like, who do the Amish vote? Do the Amish people vote? I don't know much about them. I'm very sorry if that's an ignorant thing to say, but like, to have the fucking Amish community come out of the fucking woodworks and they're like, this is not right. And then you have Anonymous who's like, nah, we're fucking fed up. And like, everybody is fed up with this bullshit. And it's fucking time. It's time for everybody to be held accountable. These people in power who are just doing the biddings of the government. They're doing the biddings of the rich elites, the billionaires, the people that have all of the fucking wealth in the world, while the rest of the people, specifically people of color, can barely live paycheck to paycheck. And like, I have a friend who makes the argument, you know, people are so outraged by the George Floyd thing and the white on black crime, the police power, fucking that whole shit. She said, well, why aren't black people outraged about the black on black crime? And I'm like, they are outraged about that, but that's one separate thing. Like, you can't address everything at once. This is the biggest thing, and it's been going on, and you can't deny that it hasn't been going on. And people say, well, if you don't want the police to if you don't want to be arrested, if you don't want to do this, whatever, don't be a fucking criminal. Was George Floyd a criminal? He wrote a check that somebody claimed was a bad check, and it wasn't a bad check, according to what I read. But even if he did, the level of physicality from the police over a bad fucking check, are you fucking kidding me? Absolutely the fuck not. One of my friends on Facebook shared a photo of this white guy sitting on the ground up next to a police car in handcuffs, and the cop was holding a water bottle to his mouth so he could drink. And that person had just murdered 2 people and injured a number of others. But he's still alive, sitting on the ground, being hand-fed a fucking water bottle by the police. If that doesn't tell you the difference in the way that white people and black people are fucking treated, like, I don't know how else to fucking tell you. It's absolutely insane. My ex-boyfriend, who is black, thinks, he tells me that he doesn't care about this stuff and but I think really what it is he's just desensitized and fucking tired, and he thinks it's going to be the same way forever, and it can't be like that. It's not going to be like that, and I feel so fucking awful that that's the way that he views things. Sign the petitions, fucking donate. I'm so fucking mad. And I know I'm sitting in my fucking living room, not outside protesting. I don't know where to go to protest. I want to do something. I want to help. Fuck, man. And it definitely is harder for black people. So I work in an apartment complex, and in order to be able to qualify to live here, you have to make 3 times the monthly rent. You have to have no felonies within the last year, or within the last 7 years, I'm sorry. No open bankruptcies, no evictions. You can't owe landlord debt. You have to have a credit score of at least 700. And we check your rental history to see if you pay your rent late and stuff. And most of the times, the black people that come in and want to apply for stuff, they can't qualify because our rents are too fucking high. They can't make 3 times that rent, or they have evictions and stuff on their record because they have been so unequally, like, the jobs that they have such low wages that they can't afford to pay their rent if they do get into a place, because you have to pay for all the other shit that's going on. And like, it's fucking ridiculous. And so most of the people that live in this fucking complex are white. We have, 1, 2, 3. Oh my God. 4. We have 4 black people that live in this entire complex of 206 units. 1 Mexican family? Is it just one? Do we only have one? Holy shit. Yeah. And everybody the fuck else is white. Everybody is white. And my boss, oh my God, don't even get me fucking started on my boss. I have had to call her out on this shit several fucking times because like a Hispanic person or a black person will come in to take a tour and she's very nice and stuff to their face, but she'll withhold like availability info or like try to steer them to a different apartment because she doesn't want them to live near certain people or she doesn't want that, which is fucking against fair housing. Absolutely the fuck against fair housing. And she could lose her job and have so many fucking suits for that. And then after they leave, she's like, they're not gonna fucking qualify. I really hope they don't fucking apply. And I'm like, how? Why do you think they're not going to qualify? Why do you not want them to apply? And she tries to justify it by saying that like historically any of the Mexicans that have lived here have been like drug dealers and like caused all sorts of problems and not paid their rent. And the Mexican family that lives here right now, she like they are perfectly fine. They pay their rent. We don't get noise complaints or anything from them. Like they follow the fucking rules, but she's always looking for a reason to get them in trouble. And it's fucking insane. It's absolutely the fuck insane. And I have no power to do anything about it because it's our corporate that sets the income and the credit and stuff qualifications. So it's like, what am I supposed to do? Like tell corporate they should lower, and they've asked for suggestions because there have been times when we've had a hard time like leasing. They're like, well, what can we do to make things better? And I suggested lowering the income qualification down to 2.5 times instead of 3 times, because then, most of the people that can't qualify, they're like $200 below the 3 times. They're like right on the fucking edge, where if it was 2.5 times the rent, it'd be fine. And we've had white people who have been just under the cusp of the 3 times, but my boss will approve them. Why? Because they're white and she thinks that they're going to pay. We have more problems with the fucking snarky ass, entitled ass white people that fucking live here than any minority that has ever fucking. It is so fucking infuriating. I can't fucking stand how hard it is to just get into a place. Like the rent just keeps going up and up and up and up and up, but nobody's fucking wages are going up, and so it's even harder. Like even myself, the only reason that I can afford this apartment is because I work for the company and I get a 35% discount, and I was splitting the rent with my boyfriend, who's now my ex-boyfriend, who's going to be moving out, so then I'm going to be paying it all on my own. It's just $1,000 a month. Well, plus water, sewer, and trash, so $1,060 a month, plus the renter's insurance, plus the electricity. And for me, I get commission and everything. I make a decent paycheck, but that's even hard for me to afford. And I used to work for another management company, and I got fired from there because a fucking resident was stalking me and harassing me, and there's a whole video on that on my channel. That's actually the featured video on my channel if you want to go watch that, because that's a great fucking time. But I had a 401k and Roth IRA or whatever with them, and I was in such a bad financial position that I withdrew that money. It was like $6,000. So I took the early penalty or whatever. So now I have a few $1,000s in my savings so that I can cushion myself. But like, if that's that hard for me, a privileged fucking white person, imagine how fucking difficult it is for people of color who get treated immensely fucking differently, who always have to work so much harder to get the good jobs and the good wages and have to prove themselves. When a fucking I have never been turned down for a job. Ever. Jobs that I have not been qualified for, they've fucking hired me. But my ex-boyfriend, the one who's black, he has fucking issues getting jobs, and he is very, very organized, very responsible, like a hard worker. He's extremely intelligent, and it's disproportionately harder for him to get a job that isn't like a fucking minimum wage, fast food, like essential worker. Why the fuck is that? That is absolutely the fuck insane. And shit needs to fucking change. If there are people who you watch on this platform, if there are brands that you use and they're not speaking up against this, we're not supporting them anymore. You can't, like, and if you're one of the people who has this racist fucking view, like, no. Unsubscribe from me. Do not follow me. I don't give a shit if you comment down below anything against the points that I'm making. Like, if you're not for Black Lives Matter, get the fuck off of my timeline. That's all I'm trying to say. Like, this is absolutely the fuck insane. Look for ways to donate. I'm gonna try to find the resources that I've been seeing going around and link them in the description below. Sign petitions, donate, like, do something to fucking help, because this can't go on. This just can't fucking go on. We can't go back to normal, because normal was fucked, man. There has to be a fucking change.